So sure, now we can start off with the session, and just in case anyone else joins, we can just get them in. So hello, everyone. My name is Sina. I am the CEO, co-founder of UniEd.Ventures. UniEd.Ventures are global consultants based in Dubai. However, we cater all the GCC locations as well. We specialize in medicine admissions for UK and Europe, and we help students in overall assistance for these countries in terms of their medicine admissions. Right from application, documentation, any kind of assistance with the test preps like UCAT, IELTS, university entrance, focused exams, multi-mini interviews. We help and guide students at every step. We try our best to stay in line with students at every step so that we can create a personalized touch with them and help them and support them throughout their visa process, pre-departures, accommodations. We also try our best to invite university representatives and students in webinars like today so that they can speak to you and you can make an informed decision about the university you are selecting for your child. I hope today's presentation and webinar is more informative to you, and this really helps you to decide your future for medicine career ahead. Because medicine, unlike other programs, needs very much of hand-holding, support from your colleagues, your peers, and of course, consultants and counselors like us to navigate and guide you ahead. Now, today we have a very, very informative session and a very good university with us, St. George's University in Caribbean, who have a very blended program for US and UK medical pathways. So I have with me today Noor Hatem, who is the student recruitment manager for the UAE GCC region, who will be speaking about St. George's University and the medical pathway for US and UK. Also, we do have a current student with us who's in the third year currently, who's practicing medicine at St. George's University and is currently doing his clinicals. So basically, in today's webinar, we'll be discussing more about direct pathways to USA, like having clinical rotation opportunities in applicable US hospitals, a strong preparation for USMLE, with over 92% success rate for St. George University for USMLE exam. Also established track record for US residency placements. Also, St. George's University help you with the UK clinical pathways, options to complete your transition in the UK hospitals, access to UK licensing pathways, exposure to both US and UK. So today, Noor will speak more about how this collab pathway works and how you can make an informed decision if you would like to do your clinicals and post-residency in the US or in the UK with the help of St. George's University. So I'm glad to hand over this presentation to Noor now so that she can take over from here. And of course, we'll give time to the students as well who are currently in their clinicals to talk more about St. George's. And please feel free to ask any questions if you have towards the last 10-15 minutes of this presentation. You can drop in the questions in the chat box now as well, and we'll read them out later towards the presentation. I hope this presentation helps you to make an informed decision for your child. Thank you, students and parents, for joining. Over to Noor. Noor, please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Sina, for the beautiful and thorough introduction. I won't take much of your times. Let's move forward, and I'd like to talk to you about St. George's University and what opportunities that provide for you. Now, I'm lucky enough today to be I'm lucky enough today for two of our current students to be joining us on this call, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions directly to these students. Hearing it firsthand from someone who's been through the journey always makes a difference. Now, let's start with the question of where do you want to practice medicine? We want to start things a bit differently. So start by deciding the country where you aim to work as a doctor after graduation. And this clarity will help you choose the medical school that aligns with your career goals. While it's natural to focus on your immediate study destinations, it's crucial to also think about your future career life. So where do I want to be? And which university is going to help me get there? Do they have the right accreditations? Are they going to be helping me with my exams as well? So determine what life after graduation will look for you and if that medical school is going to support your goal. Now that we've talked in a more broader range, let's speak more about St. George's University. First, I'd like off, if you're curious about whether SGU graduates practice medicine in the countries you're considering, know that SGU has guided over 25,000 students to become doctors and practice in more than 50 countries as shown on the map. They have practiced in every state in the US, which is our focus today. How can you practice medicine in the US or the UK with an SGU medical degree? Here, you can see a journey to practicing medicine in the US with SGU School of Medicine. To become a doctor in the US, you need to consider important criteria, including completing the US residency, which is postgraduate training, access to clinical rotations, accreditations, and USMLE exams or UKMLE exams if I'm considering the UK. Now, here I'm going to focus more about the US, and the reason for that is if we know about the regular route towards the US, it usually takes 8 to 9 years to gain a Doctor of Medicine degree. Today with SGU, depending on the background and academic background that you come from and which curriculum you're studying, you may get access to a 7-year, 6-year, or 5-year MD program with St. George's University. So let's say, for example, I'm doing, and I'll explain this a little bit more in the other slide, but let's say, for example, I'm doing A levels and I may gain entry into a 5-year program. So within 5 years, I can graduate with an MD degree and then move on directly to residency, which is my specialization. I'll also be speaking about the exams that need to be done depending on, let's say, which country that I want to practice in as well. Now, I'd like to start off from the end and ask, what is US residency, or what is your understanding of US residency? Upon completion of a MD program, graduates who want to practice in the US must go through postgraduate training, better known as residency. It's when you can finally put everything you've learned into practice and gain paid employment in a hospital. You'll be immersed in fast-paced hands-on training, working with actual patients under the supervision and guidance of a licensed doctor. Students usually apply for residency in their final MD program, and with SGU, we help place you into residency. Now, I spoke a lot about residency, but I'd like to show you a short video which explains it better than I do.
This morning I was doing a delivery, and then before I could even drink something, I went into a C-section, and then before I could have something to eat, I was here in clinic seeing patients, and really every day is different.
The purpose of residency is to have the student go through individualized training where they can become an expert in their particular field of choice.
We're proud to say that throughout our history, SGU graduates have been successful in matching into residency programs throughout the US. This is obviously a very critical outcome.
So a question I want to be asking myself is, how do I get to residency? And what are the factors that gets me into residency? There are 3 important factors that are considered when applying for residency. One is accreditation. You need to graduate from an accredited university. Number 2 is licensing exam. It's as important as my medical degree. And thirdly, and most importantly, are letters of recommendation. When do I collect these letters of recommendation and from who? I collect them during the last 2 years of my education at St. George's University, which in other words is the clinical rotations, or what I like to call hospital-based learning. Students at SGU are given a primary advisor to guide them throughout the clinical rotation process, helping with placement, guidance, off and on-site assistance, and support with processing documents. Students at SGU complete the first part of their clinical rotations in 42 weeks and cover several different specialties such as internal medicine, gynecology, pediatrics, psychiatry, and surgery. The remainder of the rotations are called elective rotations and take place in the final year of the MD program. It's 38 weeks in duration, and you'll take family medicine and other sub-internships, which I'll leave our current students to speak to you more about. And to give you an idea of what our current students are going through, and they will be speaking more about this in depth, but just to give you an idea.
After you finish your first 2 years of medical school, the last 2 years are what we call your clinical rotations. Now you are working with residents and attending physicians where you're actually learning a particular specialty field.
Clearly, one of the key advantages of coming to St. George's is the ability to do clinical rotations in the United States.
I mentor and counsel individual medical students to be successful in their clinical years, both in the hospital and to help increase their ability to obtain residency positions.
I do believe that these clinical rotations are probably the most important aspect in trying to narrow down what you want to do for residency, because you can come in wanting to do one thing, and once you actually experience it, it's a very different scenario.
We have relationships with over 75 hospitals. So it's really an opportunity for our students to think about, where do I want to train? Where do I want to get into a residency?
It's really giving me the opportunity to experience a lot of different kinds of specialties and helping me see what I would like and what I don't like.
Now that we've spoke about the clinical rotations, I want to speak to you a little bit about the accreditation. You need to understand the accreditations, recognitions, and certifications that are required to obtain a residency. The first element is to understand the certification that you as a student will require. Each student who graduates from an international medical school must be certified by the ECFMG to obtain a US residency. The international medical school also needs to be accredited. Accreditation is a process by which a medical school undergoes extensive external evaluation, so experts to ensure high educational standards are achieved. And in short, don't want to bore you too much with the accreditations, but we are accredited by the GMDC, which is recognized by the World Federation of Medical Education and the NCFMEA, and we are also ECFMG certified. So we have all the right certifications to be able to sit the licensing exam, to be able to apply for residency, and later on practice either in the US or the UK. Now, we said residency depends on three major aspects. We spoke about accreditation. We spoke about letters of recommendation and when we collect those letters of recommendation. And thirdly is the licensing exam. Now, I need to make sure that the medical school that I'm attending is going to help prepare me for these licensing exams. In the US, it's a 3-step examination. Doctors with an MD degree are required to pass these exams to practice medicine in the US. Simply, if you don't pass step 1 and 2, you're unlikely to successfully secure a residency position, which is essential to becoming a doctor. And if you don't pass step 3, you can't obtain a license to practice medicine in the US. SGU's faculty members and advisors conduct hundreds of workshops a week to assist students with the USMLE prep. And so there's a lot of preparation going through preparing you for the USMLE before you actually sit the step 1 and step 2 exam. But let's put that all on the side and look at the passing rate. SGU has an 81% first-time pass rate for the USMLE step 1 exam and a 93% step 2 pass rate for international students taking the test for the very first time. Now, the reason I'm stressing on very first time is if you know how long this exam is, you'll see how important that is. And it just shows you how well prepared you are. The school is preparing you for the USMLE. Again, won't speak too much about this. I'll leave this to our current students to discuss more and about their experience sitting for the USMLE test. At SGU, students are supported by a 450 campus-based faculty that all have an MD, PhD, or equivalent. SGU has a Department of Educational Services, and they're dedicated to offering academic support such as assistance in coursework, weekly group sessions. If I'm having problem solving an exam, they'll give me an exam preparation support as well. If I'm having trouble managing my time, I'll be given a time management workshop in order to assist me. So there's a lot of academic support available. It's just about taking advantage of that. As we know now, securing a postgraduate training, or in other words, a residency, is arguably the most important step towards becoming a doctor and board certified. SGU, as the largest source of physicians for the entire US workforce, right now, there are over 15,000 doctors practicing medicine in the US that chose SGU as a route to get there. So, to put this number into more context, imagine each one of these doctors are only treating 20 patients a day. That means that SGU graduates alone in the US are treating over 150,000 patients yesterday, today, and tomorrow, which is an incredible impact to be a part of. Now, we're also proud to say that SGU is also the largest provider of doctors into first-year US residency and have been for the last 11 years. So if you are considering the US, this is the best and most secured route in order to get there. If you're looking at the UK, it's also a very good option. Another benefit of St. George's University is that you can experience up to 3 locations during your time at SGU, with the opportunity to begin either in Grenada, which is, if you see this beautiful campus on screen, it's an island right next to the US, or I can start in the UK at Northumbria University, which is our affiliate partner. Students that tend to choose to begin in Grenada are looking for the big campus experience, surrounded by students on an island that are all there for one reason, which is to become a doctor. SGU's partnership with Northumbria University, UK, was established in 2007. It was designed to give students the opportunity to experience 2 different healthcare systems and enable them to pursue practicing medicine in the UK as well. Students are based in Newcastle, but lectures, labs, and textbooks follow the same curriculum no matter where the location. So in other words, it's only it's a preference of location. Academically, it makes no difference. Cost-wise, it makes no difference. Now, let me explain the SGU program and the question you've all been waiting for. I'll explain our 5-year MD program. So as previously I've mentioned, depending on your curriculum, you can either gain entry into a 7-year, 6-year, or 5-year MD program. And if you have a Bachelor of Science, you may be even eligible to apply for the 4-year MD program. I'm going to take the 5-year as an example. Let's say, for example, I'm doing the IB curriculum and I'm eligible for the 5-year program. If I look below, there are 2 flags, which means I can choose my campus where I'd like to start. I can either start in Grenada or I can start in the UK. So let's say, for example, I've chosen the UK. I can do 2 years in the UK. The 3rd year, we see 1 flag, which means it's mandatory to study in Grenada. But why? So all the students come onto one campus for the same purpose, which is to prepare and take the USMLE Step 1. Do you remember the very high pass rates we just saw? That reason is for this year here, which is dedicated towards preparing them for the licensing exam. After this year here, they're also asked the question, where would you like to do your clinical rotations, whether that takes them to the US or the UK, with the benefit of over 75 hospitals to choose from to do your rotations. Again, why is this important? The more letters of recommendation I collect, the better my opportunities of getting into the residency of my choice. So again, more hospitals, more letters of recommendation, and more doctors I'm shadowing. For moreover, we're talking about experience as well. Now, how do I apply? I hope today has been informative and you're now thinking about how do I apply to St. George's University? You'll start by submitting your application, which you can do through our trusted partner, UniEd.Ventures. And while submitting an application, you need to have your transcripts, 9th onwards, 2 letters of recommendation, a English language assessment, if there's any extracurricular activities, personal statement, and passport copy. If eligible, you'll be granted an interview, which will also help prepare you for this interview. Once the interview is completed, a decision is made on your application, and that leaves us with preparing to travel to either the UK or Grenada. Now, thank you for your time. I'll take it back to Sina and then we will have our current student join us for a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Noor, for this informative session. We do have a lot of questions. Before we take up questions, we would really like to invite our students from St. George's University, Yasin and Amir, who are studying in their first year and third year of clinicals, and share their experience, which would be really helpful for our students to understand how the clinicals work in the US and how they can choose the clinicals. So if you could please, Yasin, unmute and discuss and share your experience with our students, then I would further take questions later ahead. Thank you. Welcome, Yasin.
Thank you. I believe Noor has some questions for me. I'll answer any she has.
Of course. Thank you so much, Yassine, for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I can see Amir has joined our call as well. Thank you, Amir, for joining us. I can see the lab coat. You must be between your clinical rotations.
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, my name is Amir.
Perfect. Thank you both for joining us. If Yassine, if you can briefly introduce yourself, tell us what year you're in, and then hand over to Amir, and then I can start off with the questions.
To Amir, sure. I'm a third year medical student, but now I'm on break in Egypt. I was doing my third year clinical rotations in New Jersey, USA.
Thank you. Amir, can you give us a little brief about your name? Where are you right now in your medical journey? And which
Hi.
state you're practicing in?
Yeah, my name is Amir. I'm a fourth year medical student. I'll graduate in 3 months. I've done my third year rotations in Los Angeles, California, and now I'm doing my fourth year near Los Angeles in Arrowhead Hospital. It's like a trauma center, probably like Yasin's rotation. Probably you did it in Hackensack, yeah.
Well, we're wishing you the best of luck and hoping
Thanks.
for you to graduate and get into the residency of your choice very soon. So I'd like to start off by, telling Yassine, can you tell us what appealed to you about St. George's University? What stood out to you?
What stood out to me was that they could send us almost everywhere around the world, which you don't find that in every medical school. I went to the United Kingdom for the first 2 years. I entered a 5-year program. I did the first 2 years in the UK, in Northumbria, Newcastle. Then I went to Grenada. Now I'm in USA. I like the idea of experiencing different cultures and getting as much experience and exposure as possible. That's what appealed to me the most.
Do you feel that, experiencing those different locations has built your confidence, made you more aware of different cultures and backgrounds that you're dealing with? Because as a doctor, that's very important, right?
100%, yes. And 100%, yes. And it's a completely different change from my previous environment. I was born and raised in Egypt, and I wasn't exposed to the outside world that much. But now that I left Egypt and I experienced all these cultures and experiences, it built my character 360 degrees, if you know what I mean.
And Amir, can you tell us what appealed to you about St. George's University? What stood out to you?
Sorry, Amir, we lost your video. If you could just on your video again. Sir, thank you.
Amir, you're muted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what I liked about the SGU program is that first, like I was applying to different Caribbean school, even I got accepted in all of them. So I asked in hospitals wherever like I was doing my pre-med, like I was doing my volunteering, is that where do you think like which school gonna be like accepted the most like for residency, or like which one is like
Gonna
most
secure your
like no,
residency
yeah,
position.
yeah. Everybody said like, oh, SGU is like the most famous one, like yeah. And also like you can see now like head of like residency programs are SGU graduates. So like being an SGU graduate is becoming easier than US. phone, but we can't say that, but like technically that's what's
Would you
happening.
say that there's an SU graduate in almost any hospital that you're
Yeah,
practicing in?
yeah, yeah,
Amazing. And
I
hopefully
agree
you're going to be
too.
among them as well very
yeah.
soon. Okay. Ahmed, how did you cope with the transition? I
I
mean,
mean,
Grenada is very different than anywhere else.
yeah, I had like too many transitions. First, because I started my first year during COVID. So literally like my third day, they sent us all back to the mainland. And they told us like, oh wait, we don't want you to start like the first semester as online. Wait till next semester and we want you in person. And then COVID didn't end in 6 months. They're like, okay, guys, you're starting uh online. So my first year and a half was online. I only had like to do 2 terms on the island. So that was also a big transition because like usually SU is very good at as far as transitioning to the life on the island. So students should not be scared. They start like the first term. Yasin, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I don't know if you started term one. They start like with an easy schedule, like less classes, less small groups, less labs. So like you're getting adapted to the life on the island, and then they start making each term like harder by harder making it not as
The,
far as like material as far as like condensed schedule, more small group, more OSCE, more simulation labs.
so
And
they don't
because
just
like
throw it all on you at once.
no, no,
It's
no.
a slow transition, which makes it easier and makes you a
Yeah,
stronger doctor.
yeah. Because like it's a different lifestyle. Also like moving from country to another, as much as you're adapted to it, like it's different. Like I did my middle school in Syria, high school, Lebanon, undergrad, US, and I had to move my school back to Grenada and back and forth. So like, yeah, as much as I'm adapted to move from country to another, still each country has its own lifestyle.
Course, of course. This question is for Yassine. I'm a big foodie. Can you tell us a little bit about food in Grenada? Is
Oh,
it
yeah, yes, you tell them. Like you won't see any difference.
Okay, I'm
All
gonna be
restaurants are Middle
truthful.
East.
I'm gonna be truthful. The food in Grenada wasn't amazing, but it was a lot. There was a lot of food and it was very diverse. Compared to I'm saying that compared to the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, there was way more food. It had more flavor. Yeah, that's my opinion, anyways.
but would you say that there's like, vegetarian options, halal options, Subway
Yes.
maybe, coffee, known coffee?
Yeah, there's almost everything.
Okay.
Almost everything
So
in
very
Grenada.
accessible.
Yeah, yeah, vegetarian, lots of halal food, even more than the US.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's coffee everywhere. There's Subway.
Okay. And Amir, would you like to add anything about the food part? I mean, you seem to jump in. You seem to like
Oh
food as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah, like right in front of, of the school, like you just start with like a Greek restaurant, which is like the owner is Middle East. Then like two, three shawarma places, two, three hookah places. I'm not a smoker, but like if you worried about the smoking, it's there. There's like a container park, which like has like from all different kind of food. There's like Indian, there's trying to remember Caribbean, there's yeah,
So
Cuban
everything in
one.
general.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, everything. Being
Amazing.
also on campus, like you'll have like some coffee shops. There's a Subway on campus. So if you have like an early class or something, you couldn't like have time to get your coffee or something. There is.
And I mean, a question I know is on everyone's mind. Can you tell us a little bit about the safety on the island?
Very, very safe, not going to lie.
Can you
Yeah.
give us a
And
bit more details?
yeah, it's very, very safe. And I didn't live on campus. I lived away from campus, and there was a bus that takes us. And when we go at night back home or going to campus, there would be an additional staff member on the bus, making sure we're going home safe, going like walking on the street safely. So very safe. I would even say more safer than the United Kingdom.
Amazing. And would you
Yeah,
agree
also
on?
you can you can download an app. They have an app like in case like you don't feel safe, they can track your location. And
Okay.
also on the app, like you can see the bus schedule and where the buses are
And
online.
this app, I believe all the students need to register on this to make sure that everyone's safe. The university knows where everyone's located in case of an emergency, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
And
they don't necessarily to track you, like you can have like your own privacy, not to share your location. But whenever you don't feel safe, yeah, you just like share
amazing.
it and they know where you are.
And I have a question. You're currently in
But
your clinical rotations. Could you tell us a little bit where you decided to do your clinicals and why?
oh, it wasn't an option to be honest, so of deciding. I was like only between Los Angeles and Chicago. And also like there was more openings in LA because you need let's say like the first 2 years there is a policy in SGU. You have like to graduate to finish the first 2 years within 3 years. Like you only get to repeat 2 semesters, and also you have to finish the 2 clinical years within 3 years. And some students have like to schedule some of them in one city and then the others in a different state, and some others also travel to other part of the US. But I picked LA because like it had the openings for my entire 2 years. I didn't want to move around a lot. And also within LA, we had to drive a lot. Like
And
it wasn't at one specific hospital.
yeah,
So for
so you
example, we
more than
were
one
with the,
hospital.
oh yeah, every rotation, let's say it's 6 weeks, we have to change a hospital, or also within these 6 weeks, every 3 weeks with a different doctor.
And you're
So
sorry, continue.
you living in LA, like you need to consider for like driving a lot.
And would you say, can you tell us a little bit about the support that you received from St. George's University throughout your clinicals on how to decide where to do those clinical rotations?
Yeah, so for example, the like we SG like cared so much about you. Like literally, we had a problem. I was like one of the first class, I would say, also to have like the program in California. And literally, we had an issue with the company that was like finding us the clinical spots where sometimes they would not put us with like good doctors. So like literally, we reached out to SGU, and literally the two deans of clinical students flew to California and met with us. Literally, like they didn't like just like read an email and say and replied. No, like they came and solved the problem on spot.
Amazing. So fully
Mhm.
full on support and
Yeah.
amazing. So and I'm gonna give this question to Yassine. Yassine, can you tell us a little bit about how much practical lab time do students get? And can you tell us more about the learning experience students will have?
So for practical lab, it's mostly going to be, if you're gonna do the 5 year program, it's mostly gonna be in your second term of your 5 year of the fifth of the first of your first year, and in both of your semesters or your terms in your second year, which is the first year of medical school. There in the labs, I had cadavers, which I learned anatomy on, and we had many questions on it, and we were tested on anatomy. And the way they taught it, it helped me remember and memorize the anatomy till now, even though I wasn't actively revising the anatomy. So I really enjoyed it. It was very good.
Amazing. Do you have anything to add to that, Ahmed?
Um, Technically, no, like, but like, what a good experience we had is that on the island in term five, which is the last term, they used to take us like one day to the hospital, so like a real rotation, which is like students in the US don't usually experience because the law in the US you can't go into hospital until you're like third year. So at
Yeah.
least, we had that at least like as an icebreaker. We're not scared to walk in and see a real patient. And so we were like more prepared when
Very
we
prepared.
came to the
Like you
mainland.
went
Yeah.
through, I wouldn't say properly went through the clinicals, but at least you got that experience that's
Yes.
needed in order to help you go through with the
Yeah,
clinical.
grabbing a chart of a patient walking in. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And Asina, I believe we have 15 more minutes. I do have more questions, but I can see a lot of questions coming in on the chat box. I'll leave it to you to decide whether I should continue or would you like us to go ahead with the questions in the chat box?
Sure, sure. I would really like to take some questions for our students here. So we have some questions. Could you speak about which high school curriculum you did, from where you went for SGU? How was your journey? If you could talk about your high school grades, curriculums, what was needed.
So I was born and raised, and I did high school in Egypt, and I did the British curriculum. So I did IGCSEs and A levels. I got A star, AA in my A levels, but I didn't apply to SGU with specifically with my A levels. I did the foundation year, then I applied to SGU, and with my foundation year grades with UCLan, that's how I entered and got accepted into SGU.
Great, great. And
Five-year
Amber,
program.
if you can also discuss about your curriculum, what your curriculum were.
I went through like the US traditional route. Like I applied to the US schools first. But yeah, I did my high school in Lebanon, but I did my undergrad. I have a degree in chemistry from Indiana, and I did like research. I did volunteering with Parkinson patients. I have 4 undergraduate research. I worked in chemistry, and then I applied to SGU. So I just went through the 4-year MD program, and I have like an MCAT score. So, but also some students didn't need the MCAT. I don't know what's
So
the
I
newest
can
policy right now.
elaborate. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can elaborate regarding the MCAT. The MCAT is not a mandatory requirement for St. George's University. Unless you're an American citizen, then only an MCAT will be required of you before joining the 4-year MD program.
Great. And students can join after their A levels, the 5-year program. That would be the standard program after their A levels. And will there be any A level requirement they have to meet?
So let me actually, what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Let me take everyone through the programs and also through the tuition and scholarship opportunities as well. You can see my screen, correct?
Yes, yes, we can.
So as Ahmed mentioned, he did it the traditional way, which is he earned a Bachelor of Science degree and then came join us directly for the 4-year MD program. So in the case that you do have a bachelor's degree, you may be eligible for the 4-year MD program. Now, if I have A levels or a foundation from an accredited foundation provider or an IB diploma, I may be eligible to apply for the 5-year program. CBSE students are also eligible for the 5-year program. Now, if we look at the 6-year program, if I'm doing the French curriculum, American curriculum in some cases, I may be accepted into the 6-year program. If I'm doing a local curriculum, which I believe most people on this call are not doing the curriculum, but I may be able to get entry into a 7-year program. So what's unique about St. George's University is from whatever curriculum or background you come from, we have an entry point for everyone. If I'm going to go through the tuition and scholarship and loan options, let me explain the 4-year program. And of course, if anyone wants any additional information, you can connect with UniEd.Ventures after this call and book a one-to-one consultation. But if we're looking at the 4-year program, the 4 years combined are around $375,000 US. Now, we do have scholarships for international students, and scholarships may range between 0 and can go up to $100,000 US. Let's say, for example, I got a $80,000 scholarship. I divide that by 4, and that's how much of a scholarship I'm getting per year. Again, the maximum amount of scholarship that an international student can receive is $100,000 US. So assuming I got $100,000 scholarship, that brings down my tuition to $275,000. Now, if I do need additional support on top of that, we do have loan options available for international students. And I won't go into too much details, but if interested, we can take this offline and speak more about it. But for international student loan options, can go up to another $100,000. And I have a course of around 15 years to pay back that international student loan.
Thank you so
So
much.
I hope that clarifies the scholarship, loan, and tuition fee questions.
Yes, indeed, it does. Hadia is saying how much per year without scholarships?
So each year is different, but any year in blue is around $43,500. So let's say, for example, first year here would be $43,500. And then again, as I mentioned, last 4 years combined, $375,000.
Sure. Thank you so much, Noor, for that information. I believe fees and scholarship questions were a lot in the chat, which have been answered. But still, in
I
case,
believe there's a
yes.
document that details all the living expenses and tuition expenses. Do you guys have that?
Yes, we do. We will definitely share it with the students post this call. About living expenses, Noor, I believe you have already spoken about the living expenses as well.
Correct.
All right.
And also, I want to
I-
add, if
sure.
somebody has like a U.S. citizenship, like me, and get like the federal student loan, like I think the regulation got changed after this year. There's a cap on them, so like they need to double check with the financial aid office regarding
Sure.
that.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you for that,
information.
Ahmed. And I believe we have a question about how about CBSE curriculum? For CBSE students, again, it's a 5-year MD program with requirements are you need to have biology, chemistry, physics, and maths within 80% or above, and an overall 80% or above. If you do not have math, that's completely fine. We do have a online math course that usually takes CBSE 2 weeks to complete. And honestly speaking, you just need to pass. And till date, I haven't had a student not pass the math test. It's very similar as what CBSE students are saying, very similar to the 9th and 10th grade maths that they have taken.
Sure. Thank you, Noor. And there is no admission test required. It will be just an interview, right? One of the questions I see in the chat.
So the only, let's say, external exam required is an English language assessment. So I can do either IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, and now we do accept Duolingo as well. So this is the only external exam required. And then yes, Sina, after that, if eligible, they'll be granted an interview, and we will also help prepare them for the interview.
Sure. And is there a possibility to do a foundation year after AS levels? Or do they have to have a mandatory A levels?
No, so if they have up to AS level, they may be eligible for the 6-year MD program. Eligibility requirement requires 3 sciences, biology, chemistry, and physics or math with a B or higher in those 3 subjects.
All right. Thank you, Noor. We have already spoken, Kavya, about admission tests requirement. There will be only an interview required if you have the grades, what Noor just suggested. Apart from that, there is no admission test required. So we have some more questions. How much is the total fees for 5-year program? I think you have already discussed about that. We will further share information with you in case you haven't got that information. Definitely, we'll reach out to you and share the detailed fee structure with you. Let me check some more questions.
There's an important question I haven't seen in the chat as well. I was expecting someone to ask this to either Ahmed or Yassine, which is licensing exam. I mean, a medical degree is important, but without my licensing exam, I can't legally practice medicine. So, it's as equally as important as an MD degree. So maybe Ahmed, Yassine, can you tell us a little bit about your preparation for the USMLE and how SGU has helped you prepare for the USMLE test?
I've only completed and passed only one exam, which is the step 1 exam. very, very difficult. And I've asked for support through academic support through SGU, only with their help and with God's help, of course. I was able to pass my attempt, but it's very difficult. That's the only one I did, step one. I think Amir would have done more.
I think Amir has either preparing for the step two or has already completed the step two.
No, unfortunately, I had a car accident. That's why I was off a little bit of school. That's why I haven't completed any. But like I've taken my shelf exams, which are like, I don't know, students are aware of that. There's like a, let's say, mini step two, like a standardized exam we have to take after every single rotation. It's not just going to the hospital and coming home and sleep and do nothing. No, like the difficulty of the third year rotation is that after every 6 week rotation, co-rotation, let's say peds, OB-GYN, psych, wherever, we have to go to like an examination center and take an exam. So, and right now I'm preparing for step one and two together with my rotations. That's why, like, even in the middle of like rotation right now, like I have all like questions downloaded on my phone between surgeries. In the middle of surgery, I'll be standing in the
During
corner
your
doing
coffee break.
question. Yeah, there's no break. Like literally surgery here starts 7:45 and we're here till 6 p.m. Yeah, like clinical rotation also fourth here, like I would wake up 4 a.m., drive to get to the hospital 5:30. We start 3 rounds, 5:30, 6 a.m. rounds with the 3 rounds with the residents, 10 minutes coffee break, then 7 a.m. Rounds with the attendings, then like surgery start from 8 till 6 between surgeries and consults and clinics and everything. I mean, I picked some hard specialties. I did neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery, now doing ENT surgery.
So if you are doing these specialties, I mean, Amir would be a good person to talk to on what that day-to-day life looks like for him. And as you can see, it's very, very busy.
Yeah, and also you have to come on weekend. There's not like it's not optional. It's like 6 days a week
And I believe
rotation.
we also have a question for Yassine. How many attempts did it take you to pass the step one?
So you do mock exams, which is called Comprehensive Basic Science Exam. I did,
CBSE, right?
yeah, I did 3 CBSE attempts and I passed after the third one. The past step one after the third one, yeah.
Okay, amazing. And can we get students expire who had to clear the USMLE and tune how their experience was? Can we get student experience cleared? Oh, I believe Maninder that we've just answered this. I think Yassine just spoke about his experience in the USMLE and um how until he sat it. And just to be clear, everyone, the USMLE step one is a pass or fail now. Before it was based on a grading system. So the step two does also play an important role in acquiring the residency that you do want to opt for.
I can say like from my classmates who just matched, like now all the weight is on step two because it's the only one now with the grading scale, that the only one that would come out with a score. But also step one still a big one. Like you cannot fail it because like if you fail it once, it's gonna be a red flag on your residency application and you're gonna be rejected from many programs. So
And
also people should not take it easily.
so you need to put all that preparation, all that hard work towards these exams,
Yeah,
of course. And Ahmed, do you have an idea what you want to specialize in?
neurology.
Okay.
I'm like still determined.
And what about you, Yassine?
I'm interested in psychiatry and surgery so far.
Okay, nice. And we have another question. How many students has passed this program as of now and became an MD? So we currently have 15,000 students currently practicing just in the US. And around 200,000 students practicing worldwide. University provides USA visa for clinical rotations. Very good question. Yassine, Ahmed, can you tell us a little bit about the visa that you acquire when on clinical rotations?
I have citizenship, so I'll leave the question
So
for Yasmin.
for me, I'm not a US citizen, so yes, the university provided us letters to go to the embassy, and that allowed us to get B1, which is a business visa, visitor visa for the USA. That's how I was able to enter the US.
And currently with the political situation and Trump's new rules, does that affect students that are doing their clinical rotations?
Actually, to be
I
honest,
can
yeah,
help if you want.
to be honest, yeah, it did. One of my friends, he's Egyptian, he wasn't able to get a visa during this time because of it. I got the visa 2 years before that even happened, so I didn't face any issues. But my friend and a couple of my friends had issues with that.
And do you think now they are facing these issues and are they considering the UK as an option?
My friend's still considering the US as an option. I believe he's still facing these issues.
Okay. And Ahmed, I have a question for you. Why the
Yeah.
US, not the UK?
I also like considered that just because like as a study abroad experience, you know, I was like also, yeah, why not go there and travel and see. Literally, I was like on the phone with the our dean from the UK, and she's like, even with the US citizenship, she's like, oh, good luck on getting a visa. I was like, I have a US passport. She's like, yeah, good luck. You should have like a how to say like a clinical experience in the UK to issue a visa for a US citizen and go there. So he's like, yeah, just stick with the US, do your
So
clinical rotation over there, and
the
apply for
reason
residency there.
that's very correct, Ahmed. And the reason for that is what's unique about SGU, you don't need to choose between the US and the UK until you reach before those last 2 years. By that time, you would have mixed with a lot of doctors, a lot of students who've done both the US and the UK. And I believe, you're at a more mature age to make an adamant decision whether you want to pursue the US or the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe, Sina, that we have 3 more minutes.
Yes, of course. Yes, when we do have some more questions coming in, Noor.
And also for in regard the visa, like also whenever I was on the island, I was still on my green card. I didn't have the citizenship yet. So also by the US law, I had to travel back to the mainland, so I should not be outside the US for
Somebody has
period
a
period
question.
of time. And so the school was okay with me for traveling and coming back.
Somebody has an important question saying what to do if visa rejection is rejected but still wants to do USA clinical rotations. I'm not sure.
Sorry, can you read out the question again?
What to do if the visa is rejected but still wants to do USA clinical rotation?
So that's completely fine. What we do is first we study what is the reason that you have faced a USA clinical rotation visa rejection, and we fix that and you can reapply for the visa. So there is no rule that says if you get, a visa rejection, you can never reapply to the US.
Sure, thank you. And Noor, this question is coming up again. CAAHP accreditation valid. Do you have any idea about this accreditation, or if you can talk about accreditations overall in general?
I believe this is the Canadian accreditation. So to be more specific, yes, if you do finish from SGU, get, let's say, for example, your US residency, you can practice in Canada. But to be very honest with you, we have a lot of Canadians coming to join us at SGU. Reason for that being is in Canada, there's not enough teaching hospitals, so there's not enough exposure. So most of these students are coming to SGU, doing their clinical rotations in the US, getting US board certified, then going back home to Canada. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that answer, Noor. I believe this answers your question here, Rad. Any other questions, if anyone has, please let us know. He has one more question. Is MBBS certificate received from which country? Can students practice anywhere in
So
India?
it is actually an MD degree.
Okay.
And okay, to be clear, most people don't understand, but there's a difference between an MD degree and an MBBS degree. Since you're speaking about India, let me take India as an example. I believe in India, you do an MBBS, and then once you specialize, you become an MD. Now, in the West, it's completely different. We're talking about an MBBS, it's more of a bachelor level. When you're talking about an MD degree, it's more of a postgraduate level. What does that mean? If I have an MBBS, I still have to do, let's say, foundation year 1, foundation year 2, and then only I can go into my specialization. Getting an MD, a postgraduate degree, gives you access directly to do your residency specialization directly after graduation. So MD is always better. Even if I want to pursue a PhD in the future, I can do that without doing a master's degree as well. I believe we've run out of time.
Yes.
But if we can collect all the questions and maybe reach out to these students and answer these questions. I don't want to have any questions unanswered. And if you would like to connect or need further assistance, please feel free to reach out to myself or Sina from UniEd.Ventures.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Noor, and students joining us for this webinar today. Noor, just if you can let our students know why they should join SGU and what will give them edge over doing their clinicals in the US or the UK, would be great if you can just give them an overview.
So, firstly, and what we're mostly proud and known for is we're the largest provider of doctors into first-year US residency. So no other medical school in the world provides more new doctors into US residency. Now, what's really unique about SGU and the experience about SGU is you have the option of choosing where to practice either in the US or the UK. That's number one. Number two, you have a list of over 75 hospitals that you can do your clinical rotations either in the US or the UK. Again, this is very important because you're collecting your letters of recommendation during those clinical rotations. We help students prepare for the licensing exam. As we said, a medical degree isn't enough to practice. With my medical degree, I do need a licensing exam to eventually become board certified. And the option to experience up to 3 locations while you're still an MD student. So I believe, there are a lot of advantages, but I'd put these as the top advantages of being an SGU student. And of course, the great alumni network that is available to the students as well.
Thank you so much, Noor. I believe all these USPs and all these points will really help students to make an informed decision for themselves about SGU.
Yeah.
So
I can add to that, they can practice in Canada too.
Oh, great, great. Thank you for that information, Amber. So you can practice in Canada as well. So students, please get in touch with us and we will help you with your application. And in case you have any confusions, I see there are some questions coming about extracurriculars, if needed or not, what kind of subjects are required and what kind of grades are required to get in. We are here to support you. We have already discussed all of that in the webinar. We will share this recorded version of this webinar with you on your email IDs. If you have not shared your email IDs, please do in the chat box and we will share the recording of this email. Also, we would love to do a 101 with you just in case you would want to meet Noor. She would love to meet you one-to-one and she would love to give you more information about SGU, about the process. If you have any doubts about how to go ahead from UAE or which other regions you are there in the GCC as well. I know the situation currently is quite, I would say, unpredictable, but stay assured. We are here to help you and guide you at every step when it comes for your interviews, when it comes for your visa, and when it comes further with your accommodations. So we will definitely help you and guide you ahead with each step. Again, thank you so much, Yasin and Amir. It was lovely having you both with us today. And I'm very sure that our students got a lot of information about SGU, about clinicals, about how it is, and it would really help them to make a decision for themselves. I really appreciate your time. I'm very sure you both are very busy in your clinicals, but still you took out some time for us, for our students today. Thank you so very much once again. And of course, Thank you, Noor, for giving us your valuable time and sharing all the information with us. We highly appreciate your time and your efforts of helping our students and guiding them through. We will again hopefully have another session soon with our students and guide them ahead. So I have got email IDs here. I would soon be sending all the information to the students. Thank you once again, students as well, for joining us today. Have a lovely day ahead.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you
Noor.
so much.
Thank you.